All right. So I am Brianne North, and I will be talking about my job with nutritious lifestyles.
All right, moving on. So what was the name of the company that you had worked for?
Nutritious lifestyles.
Okay. So when you were working at that position, what were your main responsibilities at that job?
So I worked as a dietetic tech consultant. So I had different nursing homes and skilled nursing facilities, retirement homes, where I would go into weekly or bi-weekly. And I really would just assist and work alongside the registered dietitian who didn't have to go in as frequently. And I would help with doing weight checks, provide caloric adjustments for current and new patients to ensure their dietary needs are met, and to provide nutritional therapy and to work with the dietary managers to make sure the patients are getting what they should be getting nutritional wise.
Sounds like a lot. What is a typical day or week kind of like for you?
So typical day and week, each day and week changes based on what facility I was going into. Um, a lot of times I would just go in and I would see the new admits, so see what patients had been admitted since I last came. And I'd go ahead and calculate their caloric needs, what kind of nutrition they needed, calorie counts, liquid count. And then if they had to be on a certain diet because of renal, diabetic, make sure the dietary manager is following that. And then I would always then check the weigh-ins to make sure that no weight loss, drastic weight loss has occurred in these patients since they are elderly.
Oh, okay. What do you like, or what did you like most about your job?
What I liked most was the flexibility. I enjoy being able to, plan my own schedule and being able to go into the homes. It was something different every day. I liked to work with the patients themselves. I had, got to do bedside manners, and it just was never boring because you got to do something new every single day.
And what did you like least about your work?
I liked least is sometimes dealing with the elderly people and telling them what they can and cannot eat. They don't want to hear that, and they don't really care. They don't want the nutritional intervention. And so sometimes you would get the challenging people who didn't really care. So that always made it harder.
Yeah. What kind of problems did you have to deal with
A
at the
lot
time?
of time, so a lot of the problems I had to deal with was, the nursing staff not taking accurate weigh-in measurements or not doing their weekly measurements of the weigh-ins because some patients wouldn't want to participate. And so, say if a patient slid under the rock for 3 weeks of not being weighed in, and then all of a sudden they get weighed in and they have a drastic weight loss of a certain percentage, then it looks bad on us, the dietetic tech and the registered dietitian. And so for just that problem with making sure that everybody stayed along the same page and worked together, and not always wasn't something that the staff wanted to do because we were consultants. So we were coming in, we weren't part of their weekly, daily staff.
What kind of decisions or harder decisions did you have to make?
Not so much harder decisions, but I would say anytime that you had a patient come in that was on a feeding tube or had to, follow strict orders, those measurements were always a little bit harder to do. Where, say, you had a patient that had ended up getting a bed wound, you had to always increase their different nutrition intakes on that. So just making sure that, nutrition is such a big part, and, your body work and be able to heal, you want to make sure that they're receiving the nutrition that they need based on their problems at the time.
And what made you become interested into going into this field?
I became interested in this field after I gained the infamous freshman 15, and I joined Weight Watchers, and I loved the nutrition aspect. Weight Watchers and just changing your lifestyle and how nutrition can do that. And so I actually was originally majoring in nursing, and then after my freshman year, I switched over to dietetics and went through that route instead.
Interesting. How did you begin your career?
I began my career after I graduated. I actually took a position to train as a dietary manager in an assisted living, and that really wasn't something I liked. I didn't like really working in the kitchen, but I did learn a lot that helped me do better at the next job, which was nutritious lifestyles. And I just went through them, and I loved the consulting. I loved going in, and I loved having a different change of pace. And that really was the path that I took to get to it. So thankfully, I only landed at my second job out of college.
So, how do most people get into this field? I know you kind of said like the entry level job that you had in the kitchen. What are other common entry level jobs?
Some other common entry jobs I know in our area that I had some people go into just different routes. Some went into just working straight into nursing homes. Some went to like WIC and worked for the state. And then a lot of people, which I kind of wanted to work in the field before deciding if I wanted to go that route, just went ahead and pursued their registered dietitian degree. So then they farthered their degree and got their master's in it. And some people would go straight into the hospitals and work in different departments in the hospitals alongside registered dietitians too, kind of doing the same thing, but for the hospital instead.
So, what kind of education, training, or background does your job or field require?
So for my position only, since it was just a dietetic technician, it just required for me was this the 4-year degree that showed that I had a concentration in dietetics. I didn't have much experience before that. I've only had about 2 to 3 months of working in the dietary manager job. But like I said, there are positions that are above me that are a registered dietitian, and that does require the master's degree.
So, if you could do it all over again, would you choose the same path for yourself, or if not, would you have changed
I
your
think
career line path?
I think the times that we're in, I'm thankful that I went into the medical field. I feel like the medical field, no matter what you're doing in the medical field, you're always going to have a job, and you learn a lot in the medical field, and you can network a lot in the medical field. So is it my dream job? No, but I am glad that I took the path that I took. I do wish I would have done more research and probably seen kind of different what it was going to be like, being a registered dietitian and the outcome and everything. But overall, I'm thankful that I did go into that field, and I am in the medical field.
And lastly, what advice would you give someone who is considering this type of job?
Definitely do your research and make sure, you can find jobs in what specific department you want to work in, whether it be sports nutrition or, elderly nutrition or pediatrics.
Mm-hmm.
And do your research on different diets, of course. And then, just make sure it's what you really want to do for the rest of your life. And if you need any help, I would always just shadow as many people as you can shadow in the fields, as far as nutritionists or, finding people that you think you would want to do their job and watch them work as much as you can to make sure that's what you want to do.
All right. Well, thank you, Brianne, for joining my Zoom. I'm going to end the recording now.